Three music legends slept in one bed. Three music legends, two, two were found dead. It was the 70s. The bed was in an apartment in London, England, down the street from Apple Records. The Beatles Apple Records. Now, are the Beatles somehow tied to this tragic tale? No, but one of the members is. My name is Phil Yale, and this is Unfiltered. Our tale begins with the survivor. His name is Harry Nilsson. Nilsson, not a name you might recognize today, but back in the 70s, he was a big deal. Paul McCartney and John Lennon said that Harry Nilsson was their favorite American recording artist. Not a favorite, the favorite. Nilsson won a couple Grammys. He won a Grammy for the song Everybody's Talking. This was a song that was affiliated with the movie Midnight Cowboy. Midnight Cowboy won Best Picture, and it was an X-rated movie when it was released. X-rated, yeah, it was the 70s. He followed up with another Grammy with a #1 hit called Without You. This song was written by members of the band Badfinger. And boy, do they have a tragic tale that I'll share in a future episode. Nilsson was also a songwriter. He wrote the song One for Three Dog Night. It was one of their 21 consecutive hits back in the late 60s and early 70s. One is the loneliest number. He also wrote the coconut song. The coconut song. Put the lime in the coconut, drink them both up. Put the lime in the coconut. Yeah, that one. Not only was he a successful singer-songwriter, Harry Nilsson was generous. He would make available his apartment in London when he was not in town. He'd make it available to his friends. And in 1974, one of those friends was Mama Cass Elliot. So who is Mama Cass Elliot? Member of the Mamas and the Papas, the 60s group. They had 6 top 10 hits in the 60s, including Monday, Monday and California Dreamin'. Well, the group broke up in 68. She went on a solo career, and in 74, she was in London, England. She had a run of sold-out shows. Nilsson wasn't in town. She needed a place to stay, so she stayed in Nilsson's apartment and slept in his bed. One night, she was invited to a cocktail party put on by someone you may have heard of, Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones. After the party, she returned to the apartment, called her ex-bandmate and still friend, Michelle Phillips. Mama Cass was so excited about the reception she was getting in London with the sold-out shows, was happy, went to bed, fell asleep. She never woke up. Now, the coroner ruled this as a heart attack. But we all believe the myth, the gossip that she died because she choked on a ham sandwich. Good gossip trumps facts every day, especially in the music business. But who the heck came up with this story? Her manager. Her manager concocted the story. As I said, hey, it was the 70s. Mama Cass died at the age of 32. 4 years later, in 1978, Harry Nilsson still owned the apartment, but he was hesitant to let anybody stay in it because he thought it was cursed. That didn't seem to bother Keith Moon and his girlfriend Annette. Now, who is Keith Moon? Keith, the drummer for the group The Who. Back in the 60s and 70s, when you think about rock and roll groups that came over as part of the British invasion, you kind of think, oh, let's see, who do we have? We have the Beatles, we have the Rolling Stones, and we have The Who. The Who was known for playing loud. And the driving beat behind that sound, that was Keith Moon. Even today, he's recognized as one of the top 2 or 3 greatest drummers of all time. While in London, they were staying at Harry Nilsson's apartment and sleeping in his bed, and they got an invitation to go see a screening of the Buddy Holly movie called The Buddy Holly Story. The invitation came from Paul and Linda McCartney. There's the Beatles connection. Afterwards, they went to dinner. After that, Keith and Annette returned to Harry Nilsson's apartment. At some point, Keith asked Annette to fix him some lamb cutlets. She refused. A disagreement ensued. Annette decided she wasn't going to sleep in the bedroom. She was going to sleep in another room. Keith was taking prescription medicine to help with alcohol withdrawal. When Annette found him in Harry Nilsson's bed, he was face down, arm off to the side, unresponsive. She called for help. It was too late. The coroner ruled Keith Moon's death as an accidental overdose. Now, the research I did indicates that 6 of those pills would kill somebody. They found 32 in his system. Keith Moon, like Mama Cass, died in Harry Nilsson's bed, and both of them were 32. Like I said, it was the 70s. So what about Harry Nilsson? Well, he wanted nothing to do with the apartment after Keith Moon's death. Peter Townshend from The Who purchased the apartment. Harry Nilsson moved to California. But it wasn't long before tragedy struck again when another friend died. This time it was John Lennon, who was murdered in New York City. That death, coupled with the deaths of 2 other friends in his own bed, um, he just decided he was gonna move away from the music business and live a more private life with his wife and family. And things were better until they weren't. In 1991, he discovered that his financial advisor had embezzled all of his money. When he found out about it, his house had been foreclosed on, and he had but $300 left in his bank account. His health began to fail, diabetes, heart attack, heart failure. He died in 1994 at the age of 52. Back in the 70s, every song was on a vinyl record. Every vinyl record has grooves. Some of those grooves are hiding tales that are just waiting to be spun. Let's spin them together. My name is Phil Yale, and this is Unfiltered.